Like the Malama Learning Center, Kākoʻo ʻŌiwi emphasizes a sense of place in their efforts to educate. MLC has visited the professionals at Kākoʻo ʻŌiwi many times because they are such outstanding role models for students interested in their culture and science.
Yeah, Muliwai is the area right basically estuary. So this whole region could be called the Muliwai. Usually Muliwai in relation to Hawaii is the part where saltwater and freshwater mixes. So the Muliwai is that front section of our property in He'eia. And the Muliwai is where a lot of the fish and life and limu and everything grows. So a lot of times fish ponds or lokoʻia are located in the Muliwai. Yeah, I mean for us, the restoration of the Muliwai first occurred with the removal, well, recognizing kind of what we had, then removing a lot of the non-native species there, hoping that the native systems would start to come back that were in the seed bank of the Muliwai, and then allowing those to come back, giving them competitive advantage, meaning letting them grow faster than the non-natives, and then allowing them to grow. And with the returning of the flora, hopefully the fauna can come in, whether it's the fish and the birds that would follow pretty quickly after that. Our partnerships occur with obviously the University of Hawaii, Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology out at Mokuʻoloʻe, with the He'eia NER, which is run by Kavika Winter. So we have a lot of different partnerships, whether it's with NOAA, Army Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife, the Nature Conservancy also, are all major partners and important partners in that. In addition to the Koʻolapoko Hawaiian Civic Club and our community partners around here, Papahanā and He'eia, and the Koʻolapoko Civic Club. And so for Kākoʻo ʻŌiwi, we balance basically contemporary management, which includes Western science and traditional knowledge together. And that is basically how we manage Kākoʻo ʻŌiwi. We look at Nanekikuma, looking to the source of our ancestral knowledge, but also relying heavily on what current information is being brought up today.
Restoring habitat, taking cultural, traditional, and family knowledge and bringing it back to the land that it's been used on, and making sure that for the keiki and for the future generations, these things are still implemented in a regular lifestyle in places like this, and so that when they get to this age or they get to a time in their life where some of them may go out and look for these things, they're still alive and they're still present. And to use a place like this for the public to see, and the broader community of Hawaii to see and witness the effectiveness of the things our kupuna taught, the things our kupuna did, to continue perpetuating it for them. I think that's what we're trying to do, and to bring back habitat in a different sense, not just habitat for one thing or one species, but habitat for everything that we can, from the tiniest bug, to the biggest person or the biggest tree that we can bring around here, and everything in between. To hold on to the things that keep Hawaii special, that make Hawaii Hawaii.
I have like 2 jobs over here pretty much. So I'm my primary job pretty much is being a equipment operator, where I help to build roads, kuaunas, restoring lo'i and restoring the different waterways that are around here. But I'm also a ground worker, where I help to do outplanting for native plants. I learn about the different vitalities of what's essential to create those habitats and to create places for those plants to thrive, I guess is a better way to say it.
A Muliwai is a nursery ground for fish. It serves as a habitat for native birds. It serves as a habitat for invertebrates. It's part of and an essential part of the overall food system. A Muliwai The way I think about it now, as I work here at Kākoʻo ʻiwi, is that we always give the analogy of this ahupua'a as a body. And this muliwai is like your opu, your stomach. And everything that gets filtered through your intestines, that filtration process, that's what the muliwai is also. It helps to filter, it helps to clean before it exits it out into the bay and onto the reef.
The first people of Hawaii recognized the critical importance of estuaries. They understood the role that healthy muliwai played as nurseries for fish and as a source of nutrients for nearshore areas.
One of the integral part of our system is to perpetuate and educate and practice the cultural aspects of our ancestors, Native Hawaiians. And so from that standpoint, it's an important role. Obviously, COVID for right now has really changed it, whereas you were looking around, Cal, you could see that we're starting to build, or attempting to build COVID bubbles where families and groups can still come into our property, be exposed to these beautiful lands, leave safely, and not possibly infect the rest of us or other people, right? So it's all about management of risk right now. We haven't been able to have any of our community work days. We hope with the COVID bubble system, we might be able to start doing that again. When we were in our 20s, we had the belief and people gave us a chance to push forward. I hope that the people that are still in their 20s are given the same opportunities that we were given in our 20s. And so for us, being in the 40s, we want to make sure that those 20-year-olds have every chance to explore, make a mistake, learn from that mistake, and have time to make more mistakes. But just keep trying, just keep pushing. Something bothers you, attempt it. Because we were given that chance too.
The Makai section of our property touches into the muliwai, where all of this fresh water coming from Mauka, from a few different sources, is gonna meet the ocean, the kai, and the two waters are gonna begin to mix and create pretty much a holding space and a breeding spot for a lot of different species, aquatic and a few different flora and fauna that need that mixing of the fresh and salt water in the muliwai. So the bottom section of our property, that's what we hold. The upper section, we have this wetland area, and we also kind of hold the kuleana of being the last place some of this fresh water is gonna touch before it hits that muliwai. So for us, it's being able to manage that mindfully, keeping in mind our neighbors, above, beyond, below, and surrounding us. And to keep in mind, water is gonna do what it wants to do, but we have the opportunity to shape its path in a mindful way.
I grew up the street from here actually, on a street called Punawai, where my Nana and Papa, they used to have a house there. And I actually used to play around here when I was younger. My friend, he knew this place pretty well. He's the son of a hunter who went all throughout these lands. And when I was younger, my friend used to take me down here, and I didn't even know it. I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old, and we would go all throughout here on the top left part of our property. And it was, I remember coming through here and seeing how big it used to be, and just thinking like, wow, this place is huge. And at the time we were living out in Ku'uku, but I was going to school in Heiʻia Elementary, and we used to take Kamehameha Highway every single morning, and we used to always see these mangroves so high and so dense up here. And I don't know, like growing up, I never thought we would do what we did now. I remember driving past here one day and seeing this front section knocked over the mangrove. This was before I started. And it was amazing to me. Like I got kind of tearful at first, because I drove past here every single morning seeing the same exact thing, and one day I drove past and not seeing the mangrove, not seeing an invasive species that's taking over our aina. And just being able to work here now and being part of the restoration, like that's what I'm ono for. That's what fills me up. You know, I come here every single day, and I try and give my all, because I know that one day, even though that I may not be Hawaiian, my kids might be, my grandchildren might be, my great-grandchildren might be. And for me, I want to continue that. I want to bring back what I know from this place, from this Aina that I've learned, that I've seen changed, and give it to them. Give them a place where they can return to, give them a place that they wouldn't believe me, I guess, to say that it used to look like this.
The conservation profession is not for everyone. It often means personal sacrifice and hard physical work. You won't get rich. However, for most conservation professionals, it's more about the satisfaction and sense of pride you get in knowing that you've saved an endangered species or restored native habitats.
So I came here to Kākoʻo in 2017, and that was when the mangrove in this upper section was first taken down. And what I saw then was just very stagnant conditions. It was muddy, there was no flowing water, really not much life at all. And throughout my time here, from then until now, there's been a huge difference. And the first difference, I mean, the most impactful difference is the movement of water. And just like the blood that runs through your body, this water serves just that purpose. It provides the nutrients and everything that your body needs to survive. That's what this water provides to this wetland system. And so it's really important to get that flow and that consistency and that right amount of water and that right type of water into the wetland, and to get it into those places that it needs to go, and to provide that nourishment that this area needs. And so that's probably the number one positive, impactful, essential factor that has happened since my time being here, is the movement of water. And with the movement of water, that brings in native fish, that brings in native species, that brings in plants. And then, you know, in 2017, I didn't see birds here. I didn't see any native birds, and now we see nesting habitats. And so my hope is to continue that, to expand the native habitat for this area, but to allow it for a place for not just animals, but the interaction with people and nature, where they coexist and interact with one another.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have a sense of place, to have an idea of where you come from. For me, that's your foundation, that's your kahua. And that's always a place where you can go back to and be able to say that you come from that aina, you come from that place. My family, we're not from here. We don't have generations here, but I'm from here. I've grown up here. I've started to develop this sense of place here. You know, it's kind of like what I said before. I want to create a space that's my place, that I grew up here, and then I can give to others, to my children, to my grandchildren, to my great-grandchildren. That way they can build off of my foundation. That way they can get even better than what I am right now. And on top of that, I want to create a place where others can come to, not just in my family, but other families can come here and grow, so that they can kind of go through the same development that I've been going through. They can create their own sense of place. They can create their own area where they can return to. For me, that's important.
It's definitely not easy. It's not something that everybody's going to enjoy. You know, some things might feel uncomfortable, some things might hurt, and some things might not want to work the way you want to. But when you see, yeah, like you said, when you see these species, when you see them come back and they're comfortable and they're doing things that, you know, they're supposed to do, whether they know it or not, because of the work you've done, then I think it's a super, that's a happy moment for me. I enjoy seeing that. Like to the point, like I said, my ohana down in our aina, it's what we do on our free time. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of time. We all have full-time jobs, and we don't have a lot of manpower, but we put every ounce that we got into the land for this reason, to see these things thrive, to see species do things that they might not have done for, I don't know, 10 generations, maybe more, as long as the land has been covered. And to replace that and to have them doing more of what they've done in their past lives is something that I enjoy to see, and I hope to see more in my lifetime.
All of the folks at Kākoʻo ʻiwi share one common trait. That's a passion for what they're doing to restore habitat and to perpetuate the culture of the first people of Hawaii.
I'm not sure how exactly to word it, but there's a lot of, it's a big disconnect in the understanding and the connection of people and land, and the importance the land has on us. If the land is healthy and we take care of it, it'll do its part and take care of us. But we need to be the ones to put in the work mindfully. We cannot just come out and do, it's easy to come out and open as much as you want every day, but we have to be able to manage it and understand that sometimes opening everything as much as you want isn't the best thing to do. You got to see what the land wants you to do, what the ocean, what the water and the kai, the wai wants you to do, and you work with that and understand. I think take the time to understand what the land has been doing. There's a lot of things left in Hawaii that they're not lost and gone. It's just sitting there waiting for us to realize what its purpose was. And for some people, the purpose wasn't ever lost. It still stays. It's just bringing that back to public and having the people of Hawaii understand, what we still hold here and the future we face if we don't start to take more kuleana on these things. One of the things I fear is the day where Hawaii is no longer Hawaii. We already hold the highest number of endangered and extinct species, and us as Hawaiians, we're one of them. And these are the things that make Hawaii like no place else in the world. And if we get to a point where we don't take care of these things and they're lost forever, we can never get them back. For me, that's why I enjoy doing this. The things that make Hawaii unique, that make this land, this aina like no other. And just hoping that the future generations, for as long as we can continue to enjoy the beauty of all of these things, and understand the importance and the connection that we have to everything around us.
The hope is that if we look at organizations that have had great success, copy that, then we can also hopefully have that same success. And of course, support each other when need be. Yeah, if there's ever any help, we are there to help with that foundational piece to build again. That's the hope.
Now that I have 3 kids, I want them to be around this. I want them to be around this type of people, this type of environment, and this type of learning experience. And being around the people who have that kind of mindset, that kind of drive, and that initiative only empowers and fuels me up and makes me want to come to work every day, because I don't want to let down those that I work with. I don't want to let down, I might have to, it's not just a job, and it's just something that you believe in that can make really not just our island a better place, but the world a better place. And Heia is a very unique area where you have management from ridge to reef. You have nonprofits from Mauka, and then you have Paipaiʻohi Heia to Makai, all working together with the same goal. And there's just so much momentum behind that and so much to be proud of. And, you know, they always say that if you were, this is the analogy, if you were an artist, a sculptor for instance, and if you had the power to build this beautiful sculpture with the snap of your fingers, would you do it? And I don't think many people would, because the satisfaction comes with the process. You always hear it's not the destination, it's the journey. And that's what this is about, it's the journey. Without the journey, there would be no growth in relationships, there would be no growth in yourself, there would be no growth in just the community itself. And so I think I'm in the best part of it right now, this in-between stage. I mean, it's never done, but it's a good place to be at, because it's just, yeah, it's just a wonderful journey, and it's my part with this continuum. It's going to continue forever, and I just feel honored to be here as part of that continuum.
Thank you for your time and kokua. Mahalo nui to Kanekoa Schultz and to Ali'i Minor, who mentors many of the people that we spoke to today on our show. We'd also like to recognize our essential workers. We appreciate your personal sacrifice and your service. Please take care. Aloha. Ahui ho. Malama Hawaii.